1974, after Sadiq Sahib's death, when Bhagwan Sahib committee came, another beautiful coincidence. Gopala Swami Iyengar, Zakir Hussain, committee report. 20-30 later, his son, Partha Sarathi, who did the talks between Beg Sahib and Partha Sarathi. He was his son. He was heading the Sai committee report, which was mainly prepared by the brilliant educationist J.P. Naik, educational advisor to the Government of India, on a salary of 1 rupee a month, token. Brilliant man, wonderful man. So in 1774, because it was succeeded by that most brilliant report, the Kothari Commission report of 64-65, it embodied all those principles which required a radical change in the educational system, via vocationalization, via diversification, via multiple entry system, detaching class 11th and 12th from colleges and putting it in high school, and therefore creating higher secondary schools. But even higher secondary schools, which had to be taken to the tehsil level, perhaps with a hostel, were diluted and spoiled because of the pressure in an illiterate country of vote catching. The finest example of this corruption is Mughal near Banhal. There is a mountain on which lived an MLA, and he had two sons who had to appear in the 9th or 10th class journey. So Bakshi Sahib gave them a high school. The two boys passed, and the headmaster has been enjoying his holiday ever since. There is no more students. So I heartily support and want the educated people, led by the two vice chancellors, to inform the government humbly but firmly that this indiscreet promiscuity, I'm using the most offensive word in English language, promiscuity of without the dog barking opening colleges and schools, without anything there. Now I come to the most tricky, the saddest thing I have to say, because this goes against my two most wonderful friends in the world. But this requires a little, I'm going to stop, then question and answer, but this I have to say. You see, I'm not going to be 87. Amitab Matoo Sahib added 1 year more to me because he wants me soon to exit. He doesn't want to invite me next year to Jammu. I'll be 86 in October this year. And this I have to tell you because this is real history that should be recorded. I got a Fulbright grant in 1960 to go to America. Nandlal Kitru Sahib, a dear friend of Zakir Hussain, he invited me and I went to dinner. This is history, real, inner history. And he had a small house in Karan Nagar, beginning somewhere. This is what he said. This is oral history, real. He said, in 1945, we visited Maulana Azad on the Naseem Lake, right here. And he had lost 48 pounds in the Ahmednagar jail. So Nehru had said nobody to meet him, and Nehru himself, Maulana Azad himself, writes in Dubare Khatir, "मैं अपनी खोई हुई तंदुरुस्ती ढूंढने आया." But when these three Kashmiri Paul brothers were told that he has gone to rest after lunch, the lion roared from his room, "Maulana, बहुत दूर से आए होंगे, बुला लो." So Nandlal Kitru and his two friends, and this is 2.5 minutes. Nehru said, the most luminous mind that the Indian nation threw up in the last 8 years was Maulana Azad. The word he used was luminous is the word for him. He could cut through 100 problems and expose the real thing and solve the problem. And this is his advice to the three Kashmiri Brahmins about what is going to happen in Kashmir. 2.5 minutes. And this is what he said. कहा ये जो मेरे भाई, तकिया कलाम बोला, मेरे भाई, ये जो शेख साहब की तहरीक है, आप इससे खाइफ तो नहीं है, खाइफ मतलब डरते तो नहीं है। तो लिखा नहीं, कभी नहीं हो सकता, हो सकता। मूवमेंट ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी इज राइजिंग 94 प्रिंसिपल, यू आर बाउंड टू फील अप्रेस। मगर मेरा मशवरा है आपको कि आप अपनी तमाम तर कुव्वतों को यहां के अवाम को उभारने में सर्फ करें और उनके साथ खुद उभरें। दिस कैन नॉट बी बेटर। द ट्रेजेडी ऑफ द लास्ट 25 years is an essay and interpretation on that one side. Here is the most talented community of Kashmiri Pandits, whom he advises to mobilize the masses, incidentally Muslims, so they rise. When they rise, you will remain at the head of the wave, because you are helping them. A little joke. Lord Rutherford split the atom. Many of you may not have read physics, nor have I, but I know this. He split the atom in the calendar laboratory of physics. So American journalists, vulgar people with a cigar in his mouth at a physics conference said, "Well, Lord Rutherford, how do you manage always to swim on the crest of the wave? Wherever we go, you are on the crest of the wave." That's better. He was taken aback. British style. He said, "Oh, I thought everything. I thought I made the wave." So what Allama Azad wanted was that the Kashmiri Brahmin intelligentsia, masters of English and mathematics, must make the claim and remain there at the crest of the wave. That did not happen. And the proof of that is the worst tragedy in my life. I am telling you this for the first time. My book will be out soon. You will read it there, because in the book you see the truth. And since I have no more jobs to be offered, I have no more medals to be given, these shawls and small things are desperate after. I'm 86. They wanted me to die much earlier, but I disappoint them every year. Just to make the speech. So what happened was, by and large, our ministers were illiterate. They had to be, because Nehru, Western educated, said India is a democracy. All men and women have to do it. This is the story and the tragedy of India. So, if the people have to vote, then these 94% people, how are they going to vote for you? So look at the pressure. Nehru said, no, we want to have a plebiscite because I am committed in the United Nations. So look what Sheikhullah does. Unilaterally, against Patel's advice, against Nehru's advice, against Indian Constitution, against all the canons of common sense, he gives land to the tiller. The greatest single act of anyone in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh. An act of faith that in Kashmir there is no poverty today. The Reserve Bank of India says poverty in India 28.7%. In Kashmir 3.7%. Thanks to Sheikhullah, and now thanks to the indiscreet promiscuity of money coming from Sheikhdom, from India, from Pakistan, and corrupting our politicians left and right. But now I am coming, now I have to speak against Amitab Matoo sahib. And soon I may have to speak against Riyaz Punjabi. But I think I'll die before that. But anyway, what happened because of illiteracy was, they started appointing all matriculates, first, second and third division as teachers. So if you are talking about tragedy in education, where does it begin? When matriculates are appointed, they have to be appointed as teachers. Because every time Afzal Beg Sahab tells Sheikh Sahab, do you see, in the Indian Airlines, India has appointed 3 Kashmiri Pandits. In the Accountant General's office, 4 girls, Hindus have been appointed. In the State Bank of India, there are 7 Pandit girls. What will happen to the Muslims? So they said, let us appoint teachers. So they appointed Muslims as teachers. Matriculates, second, third division, but matriculates. Now, they are senior because they have entered the service. So the Kashmiri Pandit bureaucracy said, good for you. In our state, these teachers, when they become senior, are sent on government money into training colleges and schools for training. So when they were sent there, what were they going to specialize in? History and Persian, history and Urdu. Where were the teachers to be produced for all the high schools that were coming? Who are going to teach English, mathematics and science? When I became director training and saw this tragedy, I said, I don't care. I engineered R.C. Rana Sahib, my best friend, to come as commissioner. He had been banished to Delhi as resident commissioner. The bureaucracy here did not even open his room. He and I cleaned the room for the commissioner, and I was director. R.C. Rana, brilliant man, private secretary of Sheikhullah, very, very brilliant man. Now listen, this is the tragedy of Kashmir. And remember what Maulana Azad said. I said, I want science and mathematics knowing PSCs to go for training, regardless of their seniority. And all the trade union leaders of the Kashmiri Pandit said, no, we don't want this. We don't want this promotion. We won't want this preferment. Because they understood that my game was a nefarious game. It was a perfidious game to teach Muslims science and mathematics and English. Then they would be completely displaced. Now comes the graphs. Amitab Matoo will be able to tell you, I have read it, I understand the meaning, but I don't know the literature. Through the graph. The cutting line. Dr. Bhawan Sahib and R.C. Sahib and I are having a walk in Jammu. I am Director of Training and Curricula 74, and I tell them what I am doing. And this is the opposition. Both leftists, one of them my teachers. The chief secretary of Kashmir stopped my salary. He told my brother who was commissioner, Agha Ashraf always invites R.C. Rana and Dr. Bhawan to his house, and he's always with them, he never invites me. This was I have chief secretary for 20 years. But Nasir was his friend, the inner bureaucracy. So I said, I am a poor teacher. I read a few books. Those two Brahmins read a few more books than me. So they lend me those books, we meet and talk of books. With Shochu Sahib, I can only talk of ginger. He will tell that the Shochu is of two kinds. Either it is dry or it is wet. When is the dry to be used and when is the wet to be used? How can I spend time with a man who is basically not my type? I don't know how many of you have read Buddha, because Buddha was the greatest son of India. Among the prophets, Buddha's place is very high. And this is what Buddha said to us. He said, in the journey of life, try to find a man like-minded, like your own type. Otherwise, travel alone. There is no companionship with a fool. There is no companionship with a fool. But both of them said to me in that walk, Agha Sahib, in the long run, you are the greatest enemy of the Kashmiri Pandits. This was the unkindest cut of all. Because throughout my life, everybody bears witness, even Muslims who have been angry with me, that as a teacher and a student of history and political institutions, I have no religion. I have never selected a Muslim third divisioner when a Hindu first divisioner was available. And if I was forced to, once by Bakshi Sahib, I saw to it that that first divisioner was sent to some job. I never sacrificed talent in Kashmir, never promoted Muslims at the cost of Kashmiri Pandits. But I had to receive from my two best friends the epithet that I was the enemy of the Kashmiri Pandits. Why? Because the Kashmiri Pandit was not taking the long run, the long far-sighted view that if they educated Muslims in science, mathematics and things, the Muslims would have been their disciples. Example? Find it. The Muslim bureaucracy angry with me. You know what Muslim bureaucracy is. Short-sighted, opportunistic, nepotist, wanting their nephews and nieces to be employed. I selected 3 good mathematicians to send them to England. I was commissioner. Why? Because they had introduced the new NCERT curriculum. And this could not go on because the mathematics was beyond our ken. So I sent Motilal Vakil, I sent one Mr. Wakhluk and B.L. Cole to England. The secretaries and other people in the secretaries, they said, we won't give him his passport. How can he go? How can Agha Sahab do it? The commissioner has no power, that they enjoy in the secretary. Large buildings, nobody allowed to enter, shut up and get up and sit down and all. So what I did was, I went to Sardar Sahab, the passport officer. I said, I am the commissioner. In 2 days they have to report in England. Government is writing to you. I give you a certificate, give them the passport. Got them the passport. They said, but our families will die. They will starve because they won't get their salary. I said, I'll arrange something, but you go. They went to England for 1 year to learn maths, 3 of them. And when they came back, Motilal Vakil got 10,000 rupees from head of school to teach Satyal Razdan new mathematics. And B.L. Cole and Wakhru Sahab in Jammu taught them new maths. Then, I was still chairman of the board of school education. I invited illiterate Muslim teacher women, because I was making mathematics and science compulsory for all women in Kashmir. I invited 15 and I said to Motilal Vakil, now make them math teachers. They had never taken full math in high school. And after 2 months, Shafi Sahib, we call him Shafi Uri, brilliant man, able man, he questioned them for an hour and a half and found them knowledgeable in teaching new math, unlike Satyal Razdan. And so, mathematics and science became compulsory in Jammu and Kashmir. But another slap on my face. Motilal Vakil, when he arrived in my home in Jammu, April 9th, he had not left Kashmir. He was crying. He said, Agha Sahab, in Ranawari, when there was curfew, what is the name of that man who has only one name in the annals of terrorism in Kashmir? A man who has only one name, monosyllable name. Oh, Jagmohan. He is a Malhotra, but he is only Jagmohan. So, whatever Jagmohan may have done, but there was curfew for 14 days. And they invited, the people had all the food in the mosque. They first invited Motilal Vakil, the Muslims of that area. You pick up the food and milk and meat, then we shall take it. Because you have been teaching us mathematics in this area. So he says, I betrayed them. I left at 2 o'clock in the night. He was sad that he couldn't face those people who had loved him so much, but he had to leave. But that is a different story. The role of Muslims in making Muslim Hindus feel insecure is indisputable. And I must say that he was crying, sat there, but this is what he said to me, another slap for Agha Ashraf Ali. He said, Agha Sahab, him tachi master boy, parna ai thak hisab me achi don varian, bachu bucha aaj kus parna ai ki main hisab. Agar niste asat achi kar lung. Maulana Azad, the people whom I loved, the people had promoted, prevented me from carrying it out in 1774. They said, we don't want promotion because we don't want resettlement. Why? Because another short-sightedness of the Kashmir government. Brilliant Kashmiri Pandit senior people were superseded and third division Muslims were made headmasters. So, these old good Johnnies, they went to the Supreme Court of India. This happened because of the erosion of Article 370. Sometimes justice comes by erosion of Article 370. So, Ghulam Muhammad Shah Sahab, law secretary, could do nothing. And they said these 370 people have to be promoted as a person. Mir Qasim said, beautiful. Mir Qasim Sahab had a dialectical religious mind. Brilliant. He said, let us have both of them as headmasters in high school. So for some months or years, in every high school there were 2 headmasters. The Hindu and the Muslim. But there was only one chair. So the one who came first sat in the chair. Or whatever, I mean all jokes. We have not been spared jokes in this great tragedy. And I must say that it is a cross. It is a cross of, it is not the cross that Jesus Christ carried, but it is a cross carried by the two vice chancellors. How to make Kashmir whole again? Through education, through reducing inequalities of one kind or another. But above all, remember, one of the finest sentences uttered by one of the greatest friends, no friend, one of the greatest mentors. And with this I'll sit down for whatever time you may have to pester me. I was ready to commit suicide because my friend Madhoj Saab always refers to contradictions in my character, and I groomed him and helped him grow to criticize me, and he wrote a rather intelligent dialectical paper in Greater Kashmir, from Marx to Mysuma. I became head of an orphan school. So he meant, as a note of interrogation, Agha Ashraf, the Marxist who should have created revolution, had no business to go and work in creating a school for the orphans. Whatever that might be, but this is the answer. What was I talking about? No, before that. Huh? Education.